Alright, so here's the bike, freshly rebuilt, and I did a few other new modifications to it, like just, needed stuff, new brake pads, moving the chain, basic maintenance, new shifter, new clutch and clutch perch, both by Sunline, and then the front brake is Moose Racing now. I finally had time to put the new top end kit in. I've had it for about 2 weeks, but I've been pretty damn busy. But got enough time to put the kit in there, and this is going to be the first start. So hopefully it doesn't blow up in my face. Alright, so you guys probably didn't notice, but I certainly noticed that since the last time I started it before the rebuild, it sounds a lot different. That's probably partially because of the new spark plug I'm running. I'm running the new NGK BR8 IEX series. Probably pretty hard to see, but I think it said like it was iridium burning, and it definitely sounds a lot more teenier. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier, another couple of mods. New white fender, gripper seat. I tore the graphics off because they were starting to look pretty crappy. Anyways, as I was saying, in reference to braking in procedure, my recommendations are 3 15-minute heat cycles. And on the first one, I always like to keep the RPMs really low to make sure everything's setting in nicely. It's not going to destroy your piston if you get on there and break it in a little faster or harder, and you don't want to do all three. It's not going to destroy your piston and your bike, but it certainly will not last as long, and I don't want to have to rebuild this in 20 hours of riding. So I'm going to take my time and break it in really nicely and easily. A lot of the time, if you take it to a shop and you get it back, they'll say walk it through the gears and stuff, and it really doesn't matter. You can sit here and let it idle or walk it through the gears. The only difference is that when you walk through the gears, the power valve will be acting a lot more. And well, the main point is just to make sure the piston sets in, the rings, they all get together nicely, and nothing is broken in there. So I prefer to just let it idle here and make sure everything's setting in nicely before I take it out and walk it through the gears. Oh yeah, you want to make sure it gets pretty warm in there on every heat cycle, and then you let it cool down till it's almost completely cold, and then do another 15 minutes. On the first one, I like to keep the RPMs as low as I possibly can. That's just for safety's sake. You probably could crank it out to a quarter throttle, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, personally. It takes a little longer to get it warmed up all the way. Like this time it took me around 20 minutes till I felt it getting really warm, but that's all worth it for me. On the second warm-up, I will probably crank it out to a third of the throttle. I'm not going to ring it out or anything. And you probably could get it to around half throttle, half your RPM range on your second warm-up, second heat cycle. And you could I might walk it through the gears on that one just to make sure everything is getting along nicely. And then on the third one, don't ring it out like you're gonna go race it right away. Just give it a little more throttle than you did on the second heat cycle. And then if you want to be extra safe, after the third one where you're not ringing it out completely, but you're giving it enough throttle to give it some go, you can do a fourth one where you do ring it out more than you usually would. And make sure between every heat cycle it completely cools down, and when you're heating it up, you don't just go for 10 minutes, you let it go until it actually is really warm. As for premix, I like to run a 32-to-1 ratio. And in a 125 or an 85, I wouldn't do anything with less oil than 32-to-1, just because of the RPM range that the little bikes have. On a 250 or 500, anybody who owns a 500 knows this, so I don't even know why I'm saying it, but you don't have to run 32-to-1, just because the RPM range is so different. I like to run the Yamalube 2R series. Don't run 2S, that stuff's really spoogey and nasty and crap. The 2R runs really clean through my bike, so I'm probably going to be using that for a while longer.